What is the one thing about public speaking that has less to do with your delivery and more to do with your mindset, but can make or break your entire presentation? It's the idea of being at the service of your audience. Hi, I'm Mobeen Tahir, and this is Show-Stopping Speakers, where I share with you stories and practical tips for becoming a memorable public speaker. So I'm with my parents at a car dealership. They haven't yet made their minds, which means that they are still willing to be persuaded. My mother and I, we approach the car on display, and the salesperson begins her demonstration. And she begins her demonstration of the car by opening the boot. Now, at this point, I think to myself, well, that's an odd place to start the car demonstration. But anyway, we begin. And after a few moments, she proceeds to remove the boot floor to reveal the spare wheel of the car. And at this point, I'm completely confused. Anyway, after a few further illustrations in and around the boot, we slowly make progress towards the rest of the car, and we eventually find ourselves behind the wheel, this time the steering wheel, not the spare wheel, luckily. And as we are examining the car's tech features, the feel of the inside of the car, and so forth, my dad emerges from the office and he exchanges a few pleasantries with the salesperson. And after those pleasantries, the salesperson immediately offers to show him the boot and the spare wheel of the car. Luckily, he turns down the offer, saying that wasn't important. Now, it is entirely possible that for some customers, the spare wheel was the deciding factor for making their decision on the car. But of course, that wasn't necessarily the case for us. Maybe for the salesperson, the last customer or the last family was examining the spare wheel and asking about the spare wheel. But the salesperson didn't establish if this factor was important for us. After the visit, my parents decided against buying the car. Now, I can't say if the sales pitch put them off, but I can certainly say that it didn't help. This was an incident that reminded me of a fundamental principle in communication and indeed in sales, one that applies equally to public speaking. We see this so often, salespeople trying to sell us something without making the effort to understand what we actually need. Most people must have heard about this very famous interview exercise. It featured in The Wolf of Wall Street as well. This exercise where the interviewer hands the interviewee a pen and says, "Sell me this pen." Now, the rookie mistake is to immediately start highlighting the features of the pen. It writes so smoothly. It feels so great in your fingers. There's a special price on offer right now. We've got a deal on, and so forth. The correct response, however, is to ask questions instead. Are you looking for a pen? What sort of a pen are you looking for? What are your writing needs? What's your budget? And so on. Now, once the needs of the buyer have been established, that's when the salesperson ought to match the relevant feature of the product to the needs of the buyer. All business at its core boils down to this basic principle. Yet, so many businesses fail to understand this. They create a product and then they try to force their customers to buy it. You should buy this pen because it writes in the most beautiful shade of blue. Well, what if the customer is looking for a black pen? Or what if they're looking for a pencil? What if they're not looking to buy anything? What if they're out shopping for groceries? Those are the sorts of situations businesses fail to appreciate. When we take the stage as public speakers, inevitably we are selling something as well. If it isn't a product or service per se, we might be selling an idea. We might be trying to convince the audience of something. The exact same principle must apply. We must ask ourselves, well, what is it that my audience needs from me? Now, when we are talking to a single person, that's easy to establish because all we have to do is ask questions. But when we are presenting to a larger group, of course, it becomes a bit harder. But the speaker must have the same mindset. The mindset is, well, I'm at the service of the audience and I have to understand what is it that the audience actually needs from me. And this mindset shift creates a focus in the mind of the presenter towards the audience. So that the focus of the presenter moves away from themselves and it goes towards the audience, and they stop fixating on what they might have to say and what they might forget and all the things that they had to communicate to the audience. And instead they think about, well, what is it that the audience will benefit from, and I offer them that. This single thing can be the make or break determining factor that determines the success and the outcome of your entire presentation. So next time when you have to deliver a presentation, think about your audience and what they might need. Take clues from the setting. Are you presenting in front of investors? Are those customers looking to buy a certain product or service? What sort of an environment is it that you are presenting in? And take clues from that to make sure you deliver something of value to the audience. And of course, don't just start selling the spare wheel. Thank you for tuning in to Show-Stopping Speakers with me, Mobeen Tahir. Subscribe for more stories and practical tips on public speaking and becoming a memorable communicator. And of course, share this with someone who might find it useful. And I will see you next time.